education is not just going to college and getting a master's degree. It is constantly allowing your wheels to turn by discovering, constant discovery, constant like, what don't I know about this? Hey guys, and welcome back to One More Day with SJ and
Diva Mile.
We're so happy you guys are joining us yet again for another episode. We won't number it because we don't know which which ones we're going to release, but I'm really excited. We have had a few days that you guys don't know about. When these episodes come out, they'll come out accordingly to our schedule, but we've had a lot of days to think and literally educate ourselves and just read up on different things and really think about where we're going with this podcast.
Yeah, it's fun. We're learning a lot. Education is really powerful.
Yes, which brings us to today's topic.
All right.
Education and marriage and the importance of it, and not just looking at it from a perspective of, you know, your students, you go to college, you go to high school, things like that, but how is it relevant in your marriage?
Yes.
So I'll start.
Please, go ahead.
I think I wanted to talk about this because before I got married, I'm definitely a person who likes to read, and I definitely love to read articles and watch different interviews with people who are skilled at different levels of their particular trade. And I think educating myself in that way maybe was a more quiet, selfish approach to learning more things in life, with not the idea of partnering with somebody, even though partnering with someone, even in business, is like the best way you can leverage any business. But the reason why I said it was selfish is because I was kind of keeping that stuff to myself so that I can attack when necessary.
Yeah.
And I was doing it a lot of times in my acting career, in my music career, if I can even call it that, because as I'm educating myself, I even look at those words as words that are relevant to things that actually make bigger strides and movements. And not to diminish what I've done so far, but I think that now I look at it all very differently.
Yeah.
And now that we're together in marriage, where we've made this covenant and this legal contract, it's like I have my own built-in business partner.
Yeah.
And if you were not the way you are, which I'm sure you'll talk about how you are in a moment, then I wouldn't be able to have the focus I believe I have to continue on with that trajectory, open arms, and not, you know, keeping things to myself or keeping you in the dark as far as what I'm educating myself with.
Yeah. It's definitely a new era. You know, as soon as you say I do, it's signing a tuition form for the next academia or education journey. But you don't do it alone. And it's not your classmate, it's with your spouse.
Yes.
Where, you know, you move together, you feel like you need to be one. And last time I mentioned that you evolve, you
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, you know, I was thinking about my past education and how I went to college, and then I decided to do my master's after I was working in the academic field for 10 years. But I was still in my own bubble, you know, and learning on my own, discovering new things on my own. But I must tell you, we've been in marriage for 2 years now, and I feel like I've
2 years. The anniversary was, what, last week?
Last week. Sunday.
Yeah.
A Sunday.
Well, who knows when this is going to come out, like we said. But yeah, last week.
A few days
Sunday.
ago, yeah.
Absolutely.
But, you know, with this new journey, I'll call it, I've learned so much in just 2 years.
Absolutely.
You know, for example, lately we're just reading books.
Oh, man.
Online.
We are bookworms. We're like I don't know, in-house Barnes & Noble, Borders books, everything.
Yeah.
There's a place here in Taiwan, a 24-hour bookstore called Eslite. And it's a
beautiful.
Japanese.
It's Japanese.
Japanese
Yes,
owned. They
I
have
think.
they have a grocery store in there. They have like a whole cooking area. It's so inspiring to be there because you have a cafe, you have just all these types of books, large art books, big business books, and one day I decided to go in there and get a few business books on entrepreneurship and different things that we'll touch on like as time goes on in this podcast. Hopefully we can have authors here that we've been inspired by. But in particular, the business books that I've picked up, it just literally it takes no effort to go into a bookstore and to pick up a book, read it, and educate yourself more than you were educated yesterday on a topic that you are not an expert on.
Yes. And then have the privilege to talk about it with someone else.
Right.
And reflect on it together.
Reflect on it, and then as you apply it to your life, you can then potentially teach
Yes.
this same thing and then create your own book based on your results. It's kind of this wash, rinse and repeat type of thing, but it's so easy and readily available to you that you almost don't take advantage of it because you might take for granted that it's available to you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to adjust your camera real quick, honey, but you can talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. You can't see.
I want to see
The
your
side.
face.
Oh, maybe I should lower my mic a little bit.
Move your mic a little bit towards the wall. Yeah.
This way?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I'll
good.
just turn like that. I'll do like a little side.
Well, don't turn too much, but yeah, where you
Okay.
are. Yeah, I just wanted them to see your beautiful face.
Oh, there you go. Ta-da.
Okay. All right. So yeah, what do you say to that?
No, I think you going to a sleet and finding out that there's a place like this here in Taiwan. I remember the first time we went together, we stayed there for like, I think 6 hours. We arrived
you mean?
afternoon and we left there midnight. Remember? We went to, I was still pregnant
Okay.
then. And we just decided to go shopping by went into the bookstore. And we sat there and started reading books and buying a few to come back. But we stayed there until midnight.
Yes, we bought some biopics. Well, not biopics, biography. What is it called?
Memoirs.
Memoirs, sorry.
Yes.
I'm thinking from a movie.
Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
And I bought Lenny
Cece
Kravitz. Cece Winans was later on, but Lenny Kravitz
yeah.
books and stuff like that. And then I think there was a textiles book I ended up buying. But yeah, I've always loved books. I've always been a bookworm, not as much as I would have loved to in college. I wish I had that's not the I wish podcast, but I just understand now, what I know now based on what I knew then. I understand the importance and the power in educating yourself with reading, with reputable and credible publications. It's invaluable information.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always told my students that education is a gift, but you have to unwrap that gift. And if you don't like it, but you still have to receive it to see how you can utilize it. And I feel lately, while we're reading and studying new things, I scratch my head and I'm like, I can't believe I missed this in school. I studied business, and I wish what I've been learning lately, I was able to apply it in my business, my master's back then. But what's different right now is not only are we learning, but we're applying it right away. So it's not something that just goes one ear through another.
Yeah.
And what I've been enjoying with you is then we talk about it. We sit down, talk about it. You share what you've learned, and there's a light bulb for me, like, oh, I missed that. Okay. It even makes me think, how are we going to do that for our kids, for our daughter? How are they going to have a already set perspective of receiving education,
Yeah, I'm already trying to, I don't know, I'm looking up things right now to make sure that all of her words make sense. I'm not trying to Google Gaga her all, even though that's a whole nother podcast as far as educating your offspring. But I do understand that kids learn from their parents. They learn what they are taught based on just behavior.
Yeah.
You don't even have to directly teach them. They are learning from your behavior. And if the environment is TV, even if we get into a binge watch kind of frenzy, which we had moments. I mean, everybody is human. Everybody wants to watch a show.
Vacation.
And yeah, but after that, get into a good book. Like we decided to invest in Audible, a subscription to Audible, which also gives you credits and stuff like that. We're not sponsored by Audible. Hopefully one day Audible can sponsor us. But But even that, anything that allows us to have the physical book and then hear it so that we can actually do other things like feed the baby, make dinner, we're educating ourselves even in the kind of subconscious way, because
Yeah.
like you are walking around and you could be kind of downloading whatever it is that you see. It could be news, it could be politics, it could be music, but why not download something that you can, like we said, apply to your life on a daily basis?
Yeah.
So we just encourage everybody to just download the right things. If you feel like you're not in the right place in your life, whether it be financially or emotionally, there could be self-help books that help you. There could
Absolutely.
be ministry that helps you. There could be DIY topics. There's so many different things, but utilize the technology.
Utilize it. And, you know, it takes work, but you need to just take a step. You know, once you take that one step, you're really encouraged to find out more, to research more. It could be simple things like how to make a chicken recipe. You know,
Oh man,
it's
you
so
know,
easy to
I'm good
stay in
for a
your
recipe.
routine.
I'm
Yeah.
good for a recipe. Honestly, I used to have a bit more pride like that. I used to be like, I got it. I know what I like. But then you just apply the recipe and then make it your own. It's no biggie.
Make it
you know?
your
There's
own.
people there who know what good food is. So if you want healthy food, if you want things that don't bring inflammatory things to your stomach, or you want something late night, it's all there for
It's
you.
all there. The information's out there. And it's very easy, like in marriage, to say, this is how I do it. This is how I used to do it. I'm going to stick with this way.
Sure, yeah.
And limit yourself in learning something new, whether it's from your partner or from something that you're learning together. And it's just so much eye-opening to have your mind stretched in a new
Yeah.
way,
Absolutely.
and then be able to apply it and then share it with someone else or other people.
Yeah.
Even in my family chat, I'm always like sharing something new that I just learned that maybe we didn't know, but because we read about it. And then it's just, what is that called? A snowball effect.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Sure. And iron does sharpen iron. We say that a lot in the church. But it's true. It's if I have information and my wife doesn't have the information or vice versa, it would be so like boring if I always knew everything you knew and vice versa. It's good. Sometimes we do it with music, but why
Yeah.
not do it with other things that can help us in business, help
Yes.
us enrich our lives? Because naturally, money makes the world go around, right? So there's a lot of things that you need to understand in a marriage that have to be set up in an organized way where you guys are on the same page.
Yeah.
And I think that not being educated and just going through the rigmarole of the same mundane day in, day out, you just have the same relationship, the same routine, you will be a slave to these things that kind of keep you bound in the place where you are not where you want to be.
Yeah. I'll give you a good example of how sometimes I treated education growing up. I have this thing when I'm looking for directions or I need to go somewhere. Instead of looking at Google Map or looking at the map, I quickly ask the person,
A nearby
local,
person,
right? Just to confirm, am I going the right direction? And sometimes with education, we do that. We skip the work, the is it curiosity? The research.
Yeah, the research, the exploration of it all. Yeah.
And we just want to get there. We want to get that A. So somehow to get to that A, we skip, we take shortcuts.
But see, I think in your defense, you're better than me, and I'll say better because I think that it's not good to never ask.
Okay, in that situation,
So and so you naturally will ask, which has gotten you different places in your tenure at your school and in different businesses and in some music situations and relationships you've garnered. So my problem has been I'm very explorative, but then I might not want to take the risk and ask certain things because of maybe embarrassment or shame or feeling like I would look stupid in those situations, as opposed to there's no dumb question.
Never.
You know what I'm saying? And then also,
you learn when you
my
ask.
dad, and it's biblical, you have not because you ask not, right? He would always say that to me. And I started to ask, and being with you is making me even more investigative with the question. But you can't be afraid to hear something that maybe is not. I think that a lot of times we're afraid to ask people like me because we're afraid that maybe the answer will be too overwhelming, or there's a sense of rejection in it potentially. Usually it's the rejection is the big thing. But if it's something like a business question to somebody who has made a lot more money than you, and you don't want to seem like you're the poor little old person, that's just pride.
That's right.
That's pride. And you really need to be open to it, open to the criticism, which is a whole nother conversation. But in the term of educating yourself, other people do have real vital information that you may need.
Yeah.
And it should get you excited more than anything that they'd be willing to share it. Now, I think that if they're not willing to share it, then you just find somebody else who's willing to share it.
Yeah.
That
you move
that's
on,
come.
or you read and figure it out
you
yourself.
You can figure it out
right?
yourself. And
Instead of the shortcut.
I told you
want.
recently, right, that I had some, a situation where I was going to ask a person a question.
Yeah.
And then I unsent the message because I was like, you know what, in my previous conversations with this individual, it doesn't feel like it's always a supportive, safe place to talk to this person. It feels like, why aren't you doing this? And they're very demonstrative in the way that they act. So you don't even feel supported. You feel more like, yeah, you got to get yourself together. And that brings an angst.
Yes.
It doesn't bring like this peace that we always talk about to start anew and be okay where you're at.
Yeah.
And I think that's where education lies in our marriage. It's like we have to be content with where we are and know that God is taking us to a higher level.
Amen.
But we don't need to really be thinking on like, oh man, why didn't we do that?
And be so in control of that, right?
Yeah. We definitely can't live in the regret of like, why didn't we do this in the beginning of our marriage? We're still in the beginning of our marriage.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, the gift we have is only 2 years in, you can just break any habits that are not working now. First child, haven't bought a full home yet. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that we can decide to do now before year 5 comes, and then we're too far deep into habits that don't help us, don't serve us.
Exactly.
And we've been dealing with businesses together and things like that. Speaking of businesses, soon enough you'll be able to purchase some of these items. My wife is wearing a dress from Lahia that I sewed up for her, and this is a kimono that I made for myself. Those earrings are Benele.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
can you guys see them?
A close up.
Yeah.
Cameraman one? Okay.
One day.
No, absolutely. So even with that, we know that there's even more we want to do with that.
Yeah.
We're showing you guys.
We've been learning how we can.
And how to even approach that. It's not just us showing it to you. It's about being able to have it manufactured and all these different things. So, and I'm just excited about how that's going to play in our lives and how I can be a facilitator to other people once I know that I know.
I was thinking about that. It's like, learning this season new things or reminding ourselves old things. It's not just for us.
No.
We want to be able to share it with so many other people, with the youth, with other communities. And that's our prayer, for God to use us this way. And, you could have multiple talents, be able to cook, sew, paint, sing. I mean, like I'm talking about you, honey. And if you don't have the wisdom or the knowledge of how to utilize them to bless others, so you're blessed, and then they're just gifts, right?
Yeah.
So it's really nice this season that not only are we learning how we could use our gifts, but how can they be a blessing and be a blessing to us too.
Well, they're not ours. They're gifts because they were given to us by God. So you can't look at it as, oh, I have this gift, so it's all my own. Hey, family, if you've been enjoying this podcast today, please be sure to
subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Thank you so much for your support. Now back to today's episode.
Yeah.
But I think that there are a lot of other things that we can discuss when it comes to being willing to be a student as opposed to acting like you know everything. Because that goes with a lot of things in life. Like you can come into a marriage with all the things that you are and just think that you've mastered them because maybe they have worked for you. But then being willing to hear another person's take on it is, I think, the thing that allows you to humble yourself to know, oh, there's a lot more that I could know in this subject or in this area that can expand my horizons. And that's where education and reading and going to seminars or whatever it is can be really beneficial. And doing it together.
And doing it together.
If you can,
If you can. And I think that's what most of us forget. When you go to school, you're learning all this information. Then you leave school. You're not supposed to keep it to yourself, as I mentioned. You're supposed to share it with your team, with your coworkers, with whoever works with you at that moment. But sometimes, like you said, pride comes in and you're like, I'm ready to conquer the world, It's all about me.
No, it can't be.
And you miss out. You miss out on learning
that's a good point.
New things in a completely different way than
and
you
doesn't
expected.
that apply to most things in life? You'll miss out if you just think everything is self-contained. Like somebody has a nugget of information for you that you need.
Yeah.
Someone does. Why did we go to school? And mind you, we now have our own opinions about college and stuff like that. But
Oh, yeah. That's another topic.
that's another topic. But even in that, education is not just going to college and getting a master's degree. It is constantly allowing your wheels to turn by discovering, constant discovery, constant like, what don't I know about this? I don't know everything about how to create a coffee machine.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, I could go find out. There's probably a whole, community of coffee machine
Absolutely.
makers. That in itself just shows you don't know everything, right?
Yeah. You might consume it like me. I consume coffee. I love
sure
it.
do.
But if I learned how to even make it or the more knowledge about coffee, I would probably continue or stop. Who knows?
You'd be making money off of the coffee that you spend on.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's one of the big things we're learning now. Like there's so many things that we consume in this world. And it's like, well, who made this light? Who made these microphones? Who made this? Oh, it was me. That's right. But I didn't make a textile. Now this is a collaboration. We have the material. I took my skill to make a kimono and just made something that could be sold. So it's just like, what if I learned how to make a textile? What if I manufactured the textile myself? What if it was under our name? That's a different level of ownership just because I educated myself to the point where I became, as we heard in a recent sermon, a master at it. It really is truly the mastery of it all.
Yeah.
To consistently be educating yourself.
Yeah.
So what's something that you would like to, in this season, educate yourself on?
Oh wow. I would love to do more motivational speaking events. So probably just understanding on how as a human society in these days can still operate in life or still value life. And there's so much noise and distraction right now that it's very easy to forget about what your purpose is and what your plans that God has for you.
Right.
So just education more on how the world functions, but how you can contribute and not just let it pass by or let it you navigating through it, and then help others do the same thing.
Really, that's great to just be a motivational speaker with a purpose.
Yeah.
And do that with just complete finesse.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're hearing our daughter.
Yes.
Let me get to my point. I personally would love to educate myself on studio etiquette, from beat making to making more music. I have a strong desire in the music field. It's not just the music industry. It's just I love music so much. And so I have a guitar there that my lovely wife got me. And I really want to educate myself, even with the vocals. Like I've trained
yeah.
people vocally, but you know, there's terms. There's the vocal fock. There's the scale. There's all these different things that I've touched on. But how educated am I in those things? How
Yeah.
can I actually completely, really immerse myself to where I'm a master at it? And so that's what I would love to do, amongst other things that we'll talk about later.
Later, yeah.
But yeah, we got in at least 25
Yeah,
minutes.
we did. One more day with our baby.
One more day with baby
Bless
Lilac.
her.
You guys, we just thank you guys so much. We know that by the time you see this, there'll be a lot of conversations we'll have with you all. And we hope for a lot more in between. There's talks, there's all types of things that
Yeah.
you know we have coming
It's
up.
exciting.
So, yeah, so continue to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel on whatever platform you're watching it on. And thank you for all the listeners and all the people who support our show. This is one more day yet again.
Okay, talk to you guys soon.
And,